Back in 2019, during summer break, me, Jake, Lily, and Alex decided to check out the old Miller house on the outskirts of our small town, Oak Ridge. The sun was setting, casting long shadows on the empty streets as we snuck out of our homes for a night of teenage adventure. The Miller house was an abandoned mansion, rumored to be haunted. Locals said Mr. Miller went mad after his wife disappeared mysteriously, and the house was left to decay, armed with flashlights. We thought it would be a cool idea to explore the spooky place and debunk the ghost stories. The air around the mansion felt heavy as we approached. Ivy clung to the crumbling walls, and the windows stared back like vacant eyes. We giggled nervously, trying to downplay our fear. Jake, always the jokester, bet $10 that none of us could spend an hour inside alone. As we entered, the air turned stale, and a chill crept up our spines. Dust danced in the beams of our flashlights as we ventured through the creaking hallways. The place reeked of old memories, and the silence was broken only by the occasional creak or distant rustle. I drew the short straw, so I went solo first. The others dared me to go to the attic, the creepiest part of the house. As I climbed the creaky stairs, the air grew thicker. I reached the attic door, and a shiver ran down my spine. Swallowing hard, I pushed the door open. The attic was filled with dusty furniture draped in white sheets. My flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the forgotten belongings. Just as I was about to leave, a faint whisper echoed. "Help me." Panic surged through me, but I told myself it was just my imagination. When it was Lily's turn, things took a bizarre turn. As she reached the attic, we heard her scream, a bone-chilling cry that sent shivers down our spines. Rushing to the attic, we found her trembling in a corner. She claimed she saw a shadowy figure, whispering her name. We tried to brush it off as her imagination, but the atmosphere had changed. The air seemed charged with an unseen force. Ignoring our unease, Alex took the next turn. This time, the whisper grew louder, echoing through the desolate mansion. As he reached the attic, the door slammed shut, trapping him inside. Panic set in as we struggled to open the door. When it finally creaked open, we found Alex pale, muttering about cold fingers brushing against his skin. Fear clung to us like a second skin, but Jake, the daredevil, insisted on facing the challenge. As he climbed the stairs, the whispers reached a fever pitch. The air felt thick, with an unnatural presence. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a cold gust swept through the hallway. When Jake opened the attic door, a bone-chilling scream echoed, freezing us in our tracks. The door slammed shut again, and this time we couldn't open it. Panicking, we shouted for Jake, but the only response was a guttural growl that seemed to reverberate from the shadows. Desperation took over, and we searched for another way into the attic. The air turned icy as we found a hidden staircase. Climbing up, we discovered the attic door wide open, but there was no sign of Jake. A cold wind whispered through the empty attic, carrying Jake's name. Fear gripped our hearts as we realized something malevolent lingered in the Miller house. The whispers turned to haunting laughter, and the temperature dropped. Terrified, we fled the mansion, leaving behind the chilling echoes of that dreadful night. Oak Ridge, once a peaceful town, now harbored the secrets of the Miller house, a place where the shadows whispered of lost souls and the darkness hid unspeakable horrors. The summer of 2019 became a memory etched in our minds, a tale we could never forget, reminding us that some mysteries are better left untouched in the shadows of the past. In the small town of Crestwood, back in the summer of 2017, my friends and I stumbled upon something that still gives me chills. It was just me, Emily, Mike, and Chris, 4 high school buddies, looking for a thrill on a Friday night. we decided to hit up the old Redwood Drive-In, a place long forgotten and overgrown with weeds. The idea of watching a creepy movie in an abandoned drive-in sounded cool, and we were ready for some teenage adventure. As we settled in, the air turned humid, and the flickering light from the broken movie projector created eerie shapes on the giant screen. The distant sound of crickets and the occasional rustle of leaves added to the spooky atmosphere. As the night wore on, we began to feel a strange unease. It started when we noticed an old car parked in the shadows at the edge of the drive-in. At first, we brushed it off, thinking it was just some local kid looking for a quiet spot. However, as we switched our attention back to the movie, we couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every now and then, I caught a glimpse of the car's headlights flickering in the darkness. It was strange, there was no reason for someone to be parked there. Trying to shake off the unease, we decided to call it a night and head home. The Redwood Drive-In felt more like a ghostly graveyard than a hangout spot. As we walked to our cars, that old car came to life. Its engine roared, and it started tailing us as we drove away. At first, we thought it was just a coincidence, but the car stayed right behind us, its headlights piercing through the night. Nervous laughter filled our car as we exchanged glances. Chris, driving, sped up, trying to lose the mysterious pursuer. We took turns, made unexpected stops, and even ran a few yellow lights, but the car stayed hot on our tail. Panic set in as we realized this was no ordinary coincidence. This was deliberate, and whoever was behind the wheel had sinister intentions. Desperate, we decided to split up. Thinking it might confuse our pursuer, Mike and Emily turned down a side street, while Chris and I sped through the main road. For a moment, it seemed like we had escaped, but as we turned onto a quiet street, the old car reappeared, as if materializing from the shadows. The streetlights flickered ominously as the chase continued. Fear gnawed at us, and the once familiar town felt like a maze of dread. We could hear the distant wail of sirens, but the fear of the unknown masked any relief we might have felt. Chris, determined to shake our relentless follower, swerved into an abandoned parking lot, hoping the dark corners would provide cover. As we came to a stop, we strained to listen. The night was silent except for the low hum of the engine. Suddenly, the headlights of the old car emerged from the darkness, revealing a sinister figure behind the wheel. A twisted smile illuminated by the dim glow of the dashboard sent shivers down our spines. Without a second thought, Chris hit the gas. Speeding through the town like a bat out of hell, the old car tried to keep up, but we managed to lose it in the maze of streets. We drove for what felt like hours, our hearts pounding in our chests. Finally, we reached the safety of our homes. We locked our doors, peeking through the curtains, half expecting to see the old car lurking in the shadows. The night had taken a dark turn, leaving us with a chilling tale of a car that followed us like a phantom, its driver forever unknown, and the haunting question why. It was the fall semester of my freshman year at Hollow Ridge College, a time when the campus buzzed with excitement and the air carried the scent of fallen leaves. My friends Emma, Jake, and Lily and I found ourselves wrapped up in a tale of terror that began innocently enough. One gloomy evening, we decided to visit the old Oak Ridge Cemetery. Located on the outskirts of campus, legend had it that the cemetery held a forgotten mausoleum, hidden among the ancient tombstones, where strange occurrences unfolded under the pale moonlight. As we entered the cemetery, the atmosphere grew still. The only sounds the crunch of leaves beneath our shoes and the distant hoots of an owl. The towering trees cast eerie shadows, and the gravestones stood like silent sentinels in the fading light. The four of us, armed with flashlights and daring spirits, wandered deeper into the cemetery. The air felt thick with an unseen presence, and the temperature dropped as if the spirits themselves were watching. We laughed off our nerves, dismissing the tales of restless souls as mere campus folklore. Our search led us to a secluded corner of the cemetery, where an ancient mausoleum stood weathered by time. Its door creaked open, revealing a dark abyss within. As we cautiously entered, the air turned cold, and a strange energy enveloped us. The flickering candlelight barely illuminated the crypt's interior, revealing dusty shelves lined with crumbling books and old artifacts. The atmosphere felt heavy with history, and we couldn't shake the feeling that we had trespassed into a realm untouched for centuries. As we explored, our flashlights dimmed and flickered, casting long shadows on the walls. An eerie silence settled over us, broken only by the distant howl of the wind. Lily stumbled upon an ancient journal, its pages filled with cryptic symbols and sketches of grotesque creatures. Suddenly, the crypt door slammed shut, plunging us into darkness. Panic set in as we fumbled for our flashlights, their feeble beams revealing the crypt had transformed. The walls pulsed with an unnatural energy, and ghostly apparitions materialized before our eyes. The air echoed with whispers, unintelligible voices that seemed to beckon us deeper into the crypt. A sense of dread hung in the air as we followed the ghostly whispers, our fear growing with each step. In the heart of the mausoleum, we discovered a hidden chamber, adorned with strange symbols. As we hesitated, unsure of our next move, the symbols began to glow, casting an ominous light that danced on the walls. The whispers grew louder, morphing into agonized moans. Shadows twisted and contorted, forming grotesque shapes that seemed to reach out for us. We tried to flee, but an invisible force held us captive, trapping us within the crypt's malevolent embrace. As the chamber pulsated with an otherworldly energy, time seemed to warp. The air became suffocating, and the walls closed in on us. A blinding light enveloped the chamber, and we found ourselves back in the cemetery, the mausoleum door wide open. Trembling and disoriented, we stumbled out of the cemetery, the echoes of ghostly moans still ringing in our ears. The once innocent excursion had thrust us into a nightmarish encounter with the supernatural, leaving us haunted by the chilling reality that some secrets should remain undisturbed.